Sauna, Finnish sauna expert, and in this video, I want to walk you through the core sauna building principles that actually matter and change how the actual sauna feels. These are the same basic ideas we use in Finland, and if you get them right, the sauna will feel better, last longer, and be much more enjoyable to use. Let's start with the part people feel most. Bench height and ceiling height. This is probably the most important sauna design principle of all of them out there. A lot of saunas might feel disappointing, not because the heater is bad, but because the bathers are sitting way too low in the room. Hot air rises, and that means the best heat and steam are always higher up there. So if your benches are too low, your head sits in the heat, but then your feet stay in the cooler air. They could be even on the floor. And that's when the sauna feels uneven and uncomfortable. And then this is why I talk so much about your feet above the stones. Your feet should sit at or above the top level of the stones, and then your whole body stays in roughly the same heat zone, and the sauna feels just so much more balanced. The top bench should usually sit about, I would say, 15 to 18 inches above the foot bench, and then from there it really matters the distance from the top bench to the ceiling. And that distance should usually be around 40 to 48 inches, and the sweet spot there is like around 44, so just something to keep in mind. And that gives you enough room to sit comfortably, even if you're tall, but it keeps the hot air where people are actually sitting instead of wasting it up above their heads. And this is where a lot of builders go wrong. They think in terms of standard room height instead of bench to ceiling height. But in a sauna, the question is not how tall is the room, the question is how high am I sitting in the heat. And of course, you know, the height of the space will affect how high you're sitting as well. But if you get that right, the whole sauna starts to make much more sense. Walls, insulation, and vapor barrier. Now, let's talk about the wall assembly, because that is what keeps the sauna durable and working properly over time. The basic inside wall buildup is simple. You have insulation between the studs, then you have the foil vapor barrier on top of the warm side, and then on that you have air gap made with furring strips, and then of course the interior wood cladding of whatever wood you go for, cedar, aspen, whatever. That foil barrier is really important. That's the only thing that keeps the moisture out of the wall structure and in the sauna, and that matters a lot. The room heats up, cools down, gets humid, dries out, and repeats that cycle over and over again. You want that moisture staying in the sauna room where it belongs, not getting pushed into the wall cavity. Mineral wool is usually the safest insulation choice out there because it handles heat and moisture well, even though, you know, the vapor barrier is going to keep the moisture out. And one thing I would avoid is using regular drywall or green board behind the paneling in the hot room. Those materials are just really not meant for sauna conditions, so just avoid them. And this is one of those details people never see once the sauna is finished, but it has a huge effect on how well the build holds up over the years. Heater and stone capacity. The heater is the heart of the sauna, but people often focus too much on the kilowatts and not enough on the stone capacity. Power matters, of course, don't get me wrong, but the stones matter too. And in many cases, they matter more on how the actual sauna feels. When you throw water on those stones, you want the heater to have enough stored heat that it gives a soft, steady löyly instead of a quick, harsh blast and then nothing. A heater with a deeper stone load usually does it much better than one with a really thin layer of stones. So, when you look at the heaters, don't only ask how powerful it is, also ask how many stones does it hold, what kind of load is it likely to give compared to this heater, and then is it more radiant and sharp or is it softer or more forgiving kind of heat? That makes a real difference in the whole experience. Now, sizing the heater is not only about the raw volume either. Glass doors, windows, masonry, outdoor conditions all make the heater work a little bit harder, and that's just something you want to keep in mind when you're sizing it. So even if two sauna rooms are the same size on paper, the one with more glass or more heat loss may need a stronger heater, and usually it is always the case. And if one of them is outdoors, I generally like to leave it a bit more margin instead of choosing the one absolute minimum heater size. Ventilation. Ventilation is one of the most overlooked parts in sauna construction, and it has a huge effect on how the room feels and performs. If the air in the sauna is stale, the room can feel heavy and unpleasant, even if the temperature is technically high enough. Good ventilation fixes that. In a typical electric sauna, a solid setup is to bring fresh air in near the heater, pull used air from the opposite side lower in the room, and then also have a higher drying vent that you open after you're done with the sauna, and of course it's kept closed when you're in there. That way, fresh air comes in where the heater can warm it, and used air leaves from the bathing zone, and moisture can clear out after the bathing. The last part of the drying is also more important than people think. The sauna should not only heat up well, it should also dry well. If the room stays damp for a long time after use, that is not good for the comfort, and it's not good for the longevity of the wood either. With wood burning saunas, the fire itself helps move the air through the room, which is one of the reasons wood fire saunas often feel so much better than any electric sauna, even if the ventilation is done right. So, the exact vent strategy can vary a bit depending on the heater type, but the principle still stays the same. Fresh air in, used air out, and a way to dry the room after use. Löyly. Now let's talk about the thing that really makes the Finnish sauna feel Finnish. and that's called Löyly. Throwing water on the hot stones is not some extra feature, it's a central part of the whole experience. Good Löyly softens the heat and makes the room feel more comfortable, more alive, and easy to breathe in. Without enough humidity, the heat often feels more harsh and just flat. And this is why stone capacity matters so much. If the heater does not have enough stones, the steam can feel weak, sharp, and inconsistent. But if the heater has a good amount of stone mass and the room is designed properly, then the Löyly feels soft and satisfying. So a win-win. And that's actually the biggest differences between a sauna that only gets hot and a sauna that actually feels good and gets hot. Floor drainage and drying. One thing worth thinking about early is the floor. A good sauna floor should be easy to clean, able to handle water, and able to dry properly after each use. If you're using a tile or concrete, think about traction and drainage. And if you're using maybe duct boards, make sure that they can be lifted, cleaned, and dried easily, so it's not just sitting on the floor where the water is. And in general, you want the room to be designed so the water and moisture are not just sitting there with nowhere to go. And this is also another reason why ventilation matters so much. A sauna is not also a hot room, it's a wet room. So when you plan construction, think about the whole cycle: heating, bathing, steam, water, and then drying. And that's how you end up with a sauna that still feels good years later and also looks and performs really good. So, putting this all together, if you want to build a sauna that feels genuinely great, these are the main things I would focus on. Get the benches high enough so your feet are at or above the stone level. Keep the top bench ceiling distance in that 40 to 48 inch range. Build the wall assembly properly with insulation, fall barrier, air gap, and interior cladding, especially in indoor saunas. Outdoor saunas, not so technical if you don't need it to be. Choose a heater with enough power, but also enough stone capacity to give that great Löyly, which is the core principle of the whole sauna experience. Ventilate the room properly so the air feels fresh and the sauna dries after each use. And lastly, make sure the floor and drainage details support the whole bathing cycle, not just the heating part. None of this is especially complicated, but these are the details that separate a sauna that only looks good from a sauna that actually feels good. And if you understand these principles before you build, you're already ahead of most of the people out there. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, let me know that in the comments, and I'll get you in the next one. See ya.